Hello and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about Scream. It's not technically Scream 5. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
I think that was smart of them. I think that was very smart.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Happy January. It's like the middle of January.
It's just hurtling by. It's like 2022 and I was about to get very existential.
Oh.
But let's not.
Okay. Well, we're in it. And let's just say it's been whiplash because a lot of good things have happened and a lot of bad things. But we're not going to get into that.
No. It's January and everybody's just trying to get through it, people.
It'll be fine. You know who I mourn for are the people doing dryuary.
Oh, so or sober January or dry. Yeah. No, that's
the people rough. Like doing like major like diet things where they're like resetting their metabolism. I'm not here for it. I'm doing whatever I can to get through.
I know. I can't focus on that right now, but if you are, good for you.
Yes, I envy you and your willpower.
Yeah, good for you.
I have something to talk about, and I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast before, but I'm curating a horror shorts block for a film festival here in Minnesota. It's called the North by North International Film Festival. And Meg, let me tell you this.
What?
I am loving it so much. I'm talking to and meeting so many filmmakers, and I'm getting to watch so many films. And friends, if you have a short film of any kind, really, but I'm specifically looking for horror, submit to this festival because it's about creating community and underrepresented voices being seen and heard. And send me your movies. Go to Film Freeway and look at North by North International Film Festival.
That is so cool. I feel like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Like, I feel like this is a job made for you. And like, it's just brilliant that you get to do this. And I know you have good taste, and I know that you are getting to meet such cool people.
Yes. So the best part of, we had a meeting yesterday. The best part of the meeting was being in a Zoom room with all of these working filmmakers, and everybody's talking about what they're shooting, like what they shot over the weekend, what they shot today, what they're going to shoot this week, what they're editing, and it's just like, wow, I am living the dream. These people are living their dream, and I get to hear about it. I'm living my dream too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but that's, oh my God. And I love hearing like horror is alive, and it, despite the pandemic, despite everything, horror, like Frankenstein's monster is alive. Yes. I love it.
Yes. And just filmmaking in general, like people have not stopped. They've found a way. Like Jeff Goldblum says in Jurassic Park, like seriously, like people haven't stopped with their art. Yeah. And like I said last week when I was talking about Station 11, I think art is even more needed post-pandemic or in the pandemic. So let's keep going, artists.
Yeah, I think we've figured out, like, sure, medicine's important, science is important, and we're big fans of that, but art has gotten us through the last couple years. I think everybody can point to, even like TikTok, people putting on really thoughtful artistic TikToks or goofy TikToks, but it's still art and it's still entertainment, and books and movies and all those things to look forward to. And I'm just glad you're doing this. This is so cool.
Yay. So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to mention, I don't think I've mentioned on the podcast yet, is that there's 4 or 5 separate book clubs happening right now in the month of January that are using our book, The Science of Serial Killers. And we found out about this through TikTok, through Twitter, through Facebook. People are reading our book, Meg.
That makes me feel good. I love that feeling. And more than that, as a lit major, I love knowing that people are going to sit around and talk about our book. And even better, they're probably going to be drinking wine and having cheese while they do it. So I absolutely love that. And I know a lot of it might be over Zoom, just because of the state of the world, but I love that people are chatting about our book, reading our book. Maybe they read something interesting and they text their friend and they're like, oh my God, this fact or whatever. I love that. I just love knowing that.
I love it too. And I just love the thought of book clubs in general. And we were
Yeah.
part of one years ago. And there's nothing better than getting around, getting together and sitting around and talking about a book. Like, are you kidding me?
I know. And then, there's kind of the joke of like, oh, we end up, we don't even talk about the book. I mean, I'm kind of one of those serious people where I'm like, no, we're talking about the book. But I do also just like the camaraderie. And just like you were saying with the community building, it's great community building. So if you're interested in joining a book club, there's so many out there. And I mean, it kind of makes me be like, oh, maybe I should join a book club. I haven't joined one in a while.
I know. In our free time, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, the other thing that happened last week is Meg and I we finished the Science of Witchcraft coming out this year, 2022.
Yay! And I said we're pretty much witches now, I think.
Yeah.
I think we learned so much that we're witches. And I'm happy with that.
It's always an interesting journey because obviously, we get the concept for a book, we start brainstorming, we start researching, we start interviewing, and then we go in and write it. And then months and months and months pass. Mm-hmm. And now we went back last week and went through for final edits. Well, before we turned it into our editor, but it's like, oh my God, I forgot that we got to talk to all these cool people and we learned all this cool stuff. And it's like revisiting something that we did, but we get to keep reliving it now for the next year.
Yeah. And I love like seeing work that you did that I didn't, necessarily know about, or I didn't know some of the research that you did. And then
and vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really fun. And I think people are going to like this one. And I mean, talk about living the dream.
Yeah. And not that we don't love our book, The Science of Serial Killers, but that's pretty heavy, in comparison. And not that there isn't heavy stuff that happened to witches, but it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it is. So I think that was a good call. And I don't know, I just hope that we can go to Salem. That's like my big thing. I want to go to Salem and I want to do a book signing there.
Listen,
I've never been.
I put it out into the universe yesterday. Okay. I was messaging someone and I said, we're coming there in the fall. And so get ready to see us. And so I already put it out there. It's happening.
Okay. We are witches.
Let's talk about Scream.
Okay.
You and I have both said this may be the perfect franchise, the perfect slashers, because they've never disappointed. Now we are going to get into spoilers, but I was not disappointed. Were you?
No, I mean, I think that I went in with really high expectations because I'm like, it's Scream. I think that, no, I wasn't disappointed, but I think that it took a moment for me to adjust that this was not going to be about the main characters as much, which is totally cool. They have to pass the torch, but of course I wanted it to be about Gail and Sydney, like the whole movie. So I had to adjust a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But no, it was excellent. It had all the elements of why I love Scream.
I agree. And I just think it was absolutely a love letter to Wes Craven and to the horror community in general. It paid such nice homage to the originals, and this young new cast, they were great. Mm-hmm. I also appreciated like the new horror references that of course haven't come out because the last Scream 4 was so long ago now, and not so long ago, but a lot of horror has come out since then.
Yeah, and I love this sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of making, not necessarily, they weren't making fun of elevated horror. I'm doing the quotation marks with my fingers. they are more making fun of the people who like only watch that and think they're better than
Yes.
people who like slashers. Because as someone, I always feel like I'm defending slashers, because oftentimes people will like, well, horror is just when, you know, somebody's running up the stairs when they should be running out the door, right? Which is what, I mean, originally Scream was sort of, you know, being tongue-in-cheek about. And now people like my husband are like, oh, well, I watch Hereditary and I watch It Follows, but like slashers are blah, whatever. And I absolutely adore slashers, and Scream is the top of the slasher pile. And so I love that kind of they're not afraid to be cheeky and be meta. And it was really that really made me smile when she was like, ask me about It Follows or Hereditary or whatever. Great. The girl from You.
Yes, Jenny Ortega. And I love that they also played with our expectations, and she didn't die. Like, she was in the hospital. And it's like, that's amazing.
It is, because it's like, how do you know, a lot of people, even before this new one came out, were like sort of ranking the beginnings of Scream, because, you know, since the Drew Barrymore one, it's like, okay, this is iconic. And then the second one had that great Jada Pinkett Smith scene. And then the third one, it was okay, like Cotton Weary died or whatever. And then the fourth one had that great like movie within a movie within a movie type. So it was kind of like you're waiting to see, okay, how are they going to like top this? But they actually, again, they subvert your expectations, and she lives, and that's kind of how it's different. And so I really like that.
I like it too. And I love the plot that they're all related to people from the first movie. And I just think that is brilliant. I love that Skeet Ulrich was like a dark passenger.
Oh my God, yes, Dark Passenger, Skeet Ulrich. When they showed him the first time, Luke and I like looked at each other like, oh, yeah, that was fun. And it kind of just made you feel all warm and fuzzy, because it's like, oh,
I know.
They're bringing it back to Scream. I love it.
No, I'm going to wait, I need to insert something here. Plug your ears. Okay. If you don't want to hear my Dexter theory, people. It'll take 5 seconds. If they renew it for next season, I think Dexter will be Harrison's Dark Passenger.
Oh, I just got a little horny.
I know, so did I.
Like, I don't know. My body just reacted to that.
But that's how they could that's how they could keep going. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay, good job.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I'm like thinking about that now.
Okay. I read that this Scream movie is the first Scream movie to have the first openly gay character. Like, what?
Really?
I know. Like, really? Did that really take that long?
I guess.
I don't know.
Well, you know, interesting. What was I gonna say? Oh, sorry. Okay. So here's what happened. No, I'm glad I didn't realize that. Oh, okay. Here's what happened. So Judy dies and her son die. And I'm like, this is a great time to go pee. So then I got up and went pee, and Luke was like devastated when I came back. And he's like, you missed like the absolute most important part. And I'm like, what? And he's like, Dewey and Gail. So I missed like them talking to each other.
Oh,
I'm such an idiot. I thought like after a murder, like, okay, I'll just run quick.
Yeah.
So I want to like freaking die now. So I have to go see it again, because that was stupid.
You just have to start wearing diapers to the theater. I'm just kidding.
No, I think that's the logical next step.
Oh, but next in my notes is Dewey with multiple exclamation points, because I love too that guess what? He's not the sheriff anymore. He's taken this like Johnny Lawrence route. Not really, but you know, he's in this trailer and he's drinking beer, and he's not great. He's still adorable.
I know. Okay. Y'all know I love Dewey. I'm sorry. So that was a hard pill to swallow. I'm not going to lie. That was hard on me when he died, because
I know.
I was just like, no, like I was in denial for like a solid 20 minutes where it's like, no. And then, you know, it was kind of like another acceptance, like, and it makes sense. it makes sense because first of all, I'm all about that final girl energy we needed. And I always thought Scream did a good job. Like they never really let Dewey, like he always tries, but he never really like saves the day. He has that tender heart where he really wants to, but it's usually Gail and Sydney who end up like saving the day.
Yeah.
So of course they got to have that moment. And it makes sense, you know, that he died. I get it. But like I'm a romantic and I want them to be together. And like I understand why they weren't and everything. And like they were too different, Kelly. But that was hard. That was hard on me. I still haven't processed it.
I know. And then I'm always justifying things like, oh, maybe he was wearing a bulletproof vest. You
I
know,
know,
like
me too. I know. It's like, no, he's gonna pop up any minute now.
that's the thing I loved about this movie and of course previous Screams, but they don't pull any punches. Like people get hurt,
No.
people die that we like.
Yeah.
I know what we've been gushing. I will say not everything worked, you know, perfectly. It was not a perfect movie. Also, the crowd that I saw it with, we were the oldest people in the theater, and it was definitely like college kids in there, and a lot of the jokes didn't land. Like we're the only people laughing, which is fine, but you know, it's a different energy than if I'd seen it on opening night, like first showing with horror fans.
With people who were like actually alive when the first Scream came out.
Yeah. I know, I'm just, you know, we're just dating ourselves, but it's
I know. No, I heard you, and actually you had said that we hadn't talked much about it, but you're like, oh, my crowd was so young. So when I went in, I was like looking at everybody. I'm like, oh, thank goodness there's some old people in here. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like my crowd was pretty good. But again, I think there's something about Scream where it's like there is that humor element, but everyone's like just worried like the next minute somebody's gonna get stabbed. So like they're like a little trepidatious about laughing or whatever. But yeah, it was a good crowd. But I agree. I will say that as much as I enjoyed it, my mind wasn't blown. I was kind of like waiting for my mind to be blown by like the murderer. And I was saying that to Luke after, and he's like, well, if it was like Gail Weathers, like you'd be pissed off. Like your mind would be blown, but you'd be fucking pissed. And I'm like, that's true. Like, I mean, what am I looking for? You know? So how did you feel about that?
It was a good whodunit. And it's interesting because the first time they showed the boyfriend, Mark is like, well, it's obviously him. And he just said that like right away at the beginning. And then at one point I'm like, oh my God, Mark, what if it's Dewey? Like Dewey lost his marbles and like he's trying to get back in. And Mark is like, they would never. He was so offended that I said, what if it's Dewey?
That would have blown our minds, but like we probably would still be like, that's worse than him dying. So so I think they knew that we like couldn't emotionally handle that. So that's probably good. Because it's like I want to be like, oh my fucking God. But at the same time, you know, I think it's more about a consistent, scary film. And the fact that they had that whole Skeet Ulrich thing, and we got to see the niece and nephew of Stu and everything. That's really cool. And so I felt like they did a good job like kind of moving ahead. And my feeling is like if there was another Scream movie, and this movie made a lot of money, so I wouldn't be surprised, I think there would be even less Gail and Sydney in it. I don't know how you feel, but I felt like it was kind of like saying, okay, let's
it's like passing the torch.
Generation.
Yeah, I agree. I think it worked well. I saw that the guys who wrote and directed this are the same duo that did Ready or Not.
Oh yeah.
And that's, you know, they're solid filmmakers. I think you know, I'll definitely watch whatever they do because I appreciate their timing and their humor. And there were so many final girls at the end. There were like 5 women standing.
I know. I love that. And Like Courtney Cox, Nev Campbell, you're amazing. Like I also love now that I'm, getting older, I love seeing women who are not 25 like kicking ass. Love it. And I don't know, it was a really good time, but I think I'm gonna go see it again because I need to see Gail and Dewey talk to each other. Because
Yeah.
I like came in at the end of the conversation and Luke was just so upset with me. So I need to see it again, and I just kind of want to watch it now with like after I've kind of absorbed it the first time.
No, I think that sounds like a good plan. Well, let's rank this movie on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being you think it's a perfect movie. What's our scale for this Scream?
Ooh, what sets the Scream apart? Like Dark Passenger
Skeet
Skeet.
Ulrich, yes.
Aww.
How many
Okay.
Dark Passenger Skeet Ulriches do you give Scream?
I'm gonna give it an 8. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I did kind of like think maybe a different murder would have been cool, but Jack Quaid, is that his name? He did a pretty good job. And I'm giving it 8 because how dare you kill Dewey?
Oh, I'm gonna give it a 9. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but not every movie has to be perfect to be enjoyed.
No, it
So
was a good slasher. We got our slashings. That's
yeah.
all we want.
Oh wait, do you have a favorite kill?
Oh, well, I did like the kind of like um uh I think the sequence right before I peed when when Judy's son died and they were doing some female gaze at his body instead of a woman in the shower, and then he got out and then it was like whoa. I
And
kind
it
of
was,
like that.
and also that was so sweet and sad because like he's setting
I
the table
know.
to eat with his mom
And
and they
he's
never
getting
get to eat.
sleepy. I know. And like she comes home and like she's like, I'm coming. And then oh, I guess that one. What's your favorite kill?
Well, I was thinking that sequence just because it felt so like emotional, you know?
And it was during the day,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess there have been Scream day kills, but not as many. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so next week, friends, we're going to talk about Yellow Jackets. So you have a week to get your act together because it's going to be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen it, get on it. What are you doing?
I know. I literally dreamt last night that there were more episodes to watch, and I
Aw.
was so happy.
Well, at least it's
But
been renewed.
yes, I was also going to say I also dreamt that I had quintuplets.
Oh
So
God.
it was quite a journey.
Okay. On that note, we'll see you in the horror section. Meg's quintuplet with Meg's quintuplets, the real horror.